Let's stop pretending. Let's stop ignoring the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the question that's making people uncomfortable, making headlines, and lighting up social media. Why is America openly supporting Pakistan against India? But before you jump to conclusions, understand this question is not just about politics. It's not just about foreign policy. This is about perception, influence, leverage, and the brutal reality of how the world operates. In geopolitics, there are no permanent friends, only permanent interests. And if you're sitting there hoping that justice, morality, or loyalty drive international decisions, it's time to wake up. Countries act out of self-interest, and America is no exception. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. America supports what benefits America. If they see Pakistan as a useful partner strategically, militarily, regionally, they'll stand by them. If they believe it gives them a foothold in South Asia, countering China or Russia, they'll shake that hand with a smile. Even if it means sidelining India, even if it means fueling tensions, that's not betrayal, that's business. That's power, that's politics. And instead of crying foul, this is your wake-up call to stop expecting fairness and start playing the game like a player, not a spectator. This isn't about taking sides. This is about realizing how the world moves. It's about understanding that respect is earned, not gifted. It's not enough to be the world's largest democracy. It's not enough to have a booming economy. You have to stand up, speak up, show up, and take your place with clarity and conviction. India must stop waiting for validation. Stop hoping for applause from the West. Instead, double down on what makes you powerful, your innovation, your people, your voice on the global stage. Shift from reactive to proactive. That's how you rise. And to anyone feeling defeated or confused, don't let this be a moment of weakness. Let it be your fuel. When the world doubts you, when others back your rival, that's not the end. That's your fire starter. That's the moment you get up and say, I see what you're doing, and I'm coming back stronger. Global politics is not a playground where fairness rules the day. It's a battlefield of interests, strategy, and cold calculation. When we ask, why is America supporting Pakistan against India? The first mistake is thinking that this is a matter of right or wrong. It isn't. It's not even personal. It's about one thing, and one thing only: interest. In the global arena, no country operates from a place of emotional loyalty. Nations act based on what benefits them the most at a particular moment in time. And that's a reality we all need to confront if we're serious about understanding the bigger picture. The belief that relationships between nations are based on friendship is comforting, but false. Governments don't make decisions because of shared values or history. They make them because of shared objectives: military, economic, strategic. So, if America sees Pakistan as a useful piece on the chessboard of world politics, they're going to move that piece. Maybe it's about geographical proximity to Afghanistan, or maybe it's about having leverage over China's growing footprint in the region. Maybe it's about intelligence sharing or counterterrorism cooperation. Whatever the reason is, it's not because Pakistan is the better friend. It's because, right now, Pakistan serves a purpose. This doesn't mean India isn't important. It means the equation is constantly evolving, and that's what makes global politics so brutal and so fascinating. One day, you're the partner of choice, the next day you're not. And if you don't understand that game, you'll always feel like you're being betrayed. But it's not betrayal. It's the rules of the game, the one most people don't even know they're in. This is exactly why expecting emotional loyalty from a superpower like America is a losing strategy. The sooner we drop that illusion, the better. The world does not move on principles, it moves on priorities. Power respects power. Influence follows strength. That means the moment India starts reacting emotionally to geopolitical moves, it loses focus on what actually matters, increasing its own strategic weight, expanding its own influence, and becoming a force that cannot be ignored or sidelined. It's also important to remember that being right is not the same as being influential. Even if India stands for democracy, stability, and growth, it doesn't automatically mean others will rally behind it. Influence isn't granted, it's seized. That's what America is doing. That's what China is doing, and yes, that's what Pakistan is trying to do too. Whether or not it's successful, they're playing the game. And India must do the same. You don't earn global support by being morally correct. You earn it by being strategically valuable. So if America is supporting Pakistan today, it's a sign that America sees an opportunity there. That doesn't mean India is losing it, just means India has to sharpen its strategy and strengthen its presence. The moment we stop expecting fairness and start focusing on capability, negotiation, and leverage, is the moment we become powerful in the real sense. Stop feeling betrayed, stop wasting time trying to be liked, and start becoming necessary. When a country becomes necessary, when it becomes a critical player in world affairs, no one can afford to sideline it. This is your reminder that in global politics, respect doesn't come from friendship. It comes from fear, from need, from value. So instead of asking why America is choosing someone else, ask what you can do to make yourself impossible to ignore. That's how the game is played, and if you want to win it, you've got to understand the rules. America's support is never handed out randomly, and certainly not based on emotions. It is deliberate, calculated, and tied directly to strategic benefit. When you see America leaning toward Pakistan in certain situations, it's not because it has forgotten about India or because it suddenly favors Pakistan more. It's because, in that moment, Pakistan is serving a specific purpose that aligns with America's current global agenda. This is what so many people miss when they look at international affairs. They assume that political relationships are built like personal ones, based on loyalty, shared values, or long-term bonds, but they're not. America, like every other global power, acts based on what strengthens its position, period. Let's be brutally honest. Pakistan offers America certain strategic advantages that India simply doesn't or chooses not to. It's about geography. Pakistan sits at a crucial geopolitical crossroad. It borders Afghanistan, Iran, and China. It's been a major player in the war on terror. It's given the U.S. access to air bases, intelligence cooperation, and regional maneuverability. These aren't small things. These are powerful bargaining chips, and America knows how to use them. That doesn't mean America trusts Pakistan completely. It means America uses Pakistan when it sees value, and that's exactly the point. The support is not about alliance. It's about advantage. If India wants to shift that balance, it can't do it by asking America to be fair. It has to do it by being more useful, more necessary, more central to America's or any other power's goals. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Sometimes Pakistan plays the diplomatic game better. It leans into its relationships with countries like China, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the U.S., creating the illusion of being indispensable. Even when its economy is struggling or its democracy is shaky, it uses its strategic location, nuclear capability, and intelligence influence as leverage. That's not luck, that's strategy, that's survival. And that's something to learn from, not dismiss. India, on the other hand, often takes the high road, and while that's admirable, it can also mean missing opportunities to build leverage. India is a rising economic and technological superpower. It has a massive youth population, a growing defense sector, and a powerful global voice. But if it doesn't translate all that potential into concrete strategic alliances that benefit others, it won't command the kind of influence it deserves. Being morally right or economically strong is not enough in a world driven by power dynamics. You have to show other nations why standing with you is in their interest. You have to give them reasons to fight your corner because it helps them win their own battles. America supports countries that support its strategic blueprint, plain and simple. And when America sees an opportunity to gain something through Pakistan, it takes it not because Pakistan is a better ally, but because it's more flexible or more aligned with a particular objective at that moment. That's not an insult to India. It's a challenge, a call to action. So instead of taking this as a betrayal, take it as a signal. If America's support shifts, the question isn't why are they doing this? The question is what can we do differently? How do we position ourselves as irreplaceable? How do we become so central to global agendas that no one can afford to overlook us? That's how strategy works. That's how power moves. And that's how India, or any nation, earns real long-term global support by becoming too valuable to ignore. Perception and influence matter more than most people realize. In international politics, it's not just about how strong your economy is or how large your military is. It's about how you are perceived. It's about the narrative that surrounds you, the voice you project, and the alliances you build. If you're not actively managing how the world sees you, someone else is doing it for you, and probably to your disadvantage. That's why when America appears to support Pakistan over India, it's often a result of how each nation is positioning itself in global conversations. Influence is not given. It's built through presence, messaging, and strategic communication. Pakistan, despite its internal challenges, knows how to position itself in key geopolitical discussions. It knows when to raise its voice, when to present itself as a victim, a peacekeeper, or a necessary ally. It may lack consistency or stability, but it compensates with diplomacy that leans into its perceived strategic value. Pakistan has crafted a global image of being an essential partner in security matters, especially in counterterrorism and regional stability. That image may not be perfect or even entirely accurate, but it works because it influences perception. India, on the other hand, often underplays its position. It speaks with restraint, which is dignified, but sometimes too silent for a world that responds to boldness. India has all the right tools: economic power, military modernization, technological innovation, a thriving diaspora, but it doesn't always translate those assets into global influence. Power doesn't just come from having strength. It comes from being seen as strong. The world pays attention not just to what you are, but to how confidently you show it. That's the game of influence, and it matters. Because the more visible, assertive, and essential you are in global conversations, the more leverage you gain. Influence changes how your statements are heard, how your policies are received, and how your allies respond. When you're influential, your silence speaks volumes. When you're not, even your loudest statements fall flat. Countries like America make foreign policy decisions not just based on hard data, but based on perceptions: who's stable, who's cooperative, who's essential to their goals. And if Pakistan appears to be more flexible, more engaged, or more cooperative in specific moments, that shapes decisions. It shifts support, it opens doors. This isn't just about governments. It's about global media, international institutions, think tanks, business leaders, and everyday citizens who form opinions. If India wants to command more respect, it must engage more boldly. That doesn't mean aggression or arrogance. It means clarity, consistency, and confidence. It means making sure the world knows what India stands for, where it's headed, and why ignoring it would be a mistake. Influence isn't about being loud, it's about being deliberate. Strategic visibility is key. Whether it's climate change, technology, regional peace, or economic cooperation, India needs to be at the center of the conversation, shaping the dialogue, not reacting to it. So the next time someone wonders why another country is getting more attention, more support, or more diplomatic mileage, the answer lies here: influence, not just strength on paper, but strength in presence. India must stop waiting to be invited into the room and start owning the room. That's how you shift global support. That's how you reset perceptions. That's how you win, by being seen, being heard, and being impossible to ignore. India must lead with confidence, not seek validation. That's one of the most important shifts that needs to happen in the way India approaches its position on the global stage. In a world that constantly shifts based on interests and influence, waiting for other nations, including America, to acknowledge your value is a losing strategy. You don't ask to be respected. You don't wait to be recognized. You earn that place through bold leadership, unapologetic presence, and a clear vision of who you are and what you stand for. For far too long, India has operated with a mindset shaped by humility and restraint. While those are admirable values, they can't be the core strategy in a world that rewards assertiveness. The reality is, powerful nations don't spend their time asking, "Are we being treated fairly?" They walk into the room knowing they belong. They don't wait for permission to lead, they lead, and others follow. That's the kind of mindset India needs to embrace now more than ever. When America appears to lean toward Pakistan in certain diplomatic or strategic matters, many people interpret that as an insult or a sign that India has been forgotten. But that's not the real issue. The issue is that India, despite its economic growth and regional dominance, sometimes still acts like it needs external approval to assert its power. That's what needs to change. Global respect is not built by quietly standing in the corner, hoping your achievements will speak for themselves. It's built by stepping into the spotlight and showing exactly why you matter over and over again. India has everything it needs to be a dominant global force: a powerful military, a massive and growing economy, technological leadership, cultural influence, and diplomatic relationships that span continents. What's missing isn't capability. What's missing is the consistent, confident posture that says, "We're not just here to participate, we're here to lead." That's the difference between being a rising power and a recognized superpower. And it all starts with attitude. The constant pursuit of validation from countries like America reflects a mindset that still wants to be accepted rather than commanding respect on its own terms. That's dangerous. Because in the high-stakes game of international relations, if you act like you need approval, you'll always be treated like a junior partner. That's how nations get used, not respected. That's how influence slips away. India must make a strategic decision to act like the world power it already is. That means setting the agenda instead of responding to it. That means building regional coalitions that do not depend on Western approval. That means investing in global partnerships where India defines the terms, not just follows them. And most of all, it means trusting its own vision for the future politically, economically, and socially without needing a nod from Washington or London. Confidence doesn't mean ignoring diplomacy. It doesn't mean becoming arrogant or confrontational. It means having a clear sense of national identity and using that as a compass in every international decision. It means India must walk into every negotiation, every summit, every alliance knowing that its presence adds value and behaving accordingly. The world respects clarity. It respects power that knows itself. And it respects nations that lead without apology. So the next time the question arises, why is America supporting Pakistan over India? The better question is, why does India still care? The goal isn't to chase approval. The goal is to become so essential, so bold, so decisive that no one can make a move without you. That's the real path to influence. That's what leadership looks like. Let setbacks fuel your growth. That's not just a motivational phrase. It's a necessary mindset in a world where things rarely go as planned. When India sees global powers like America seemingly support Pakistan in certain situations, it can feel like a setback, like a slap in the face. But here's the truth: every time you're pushed aside, every time your value is overlooked, that is not your moment to retreat. That is your moment to rise, because the strongest growth always begins at the point of the deepest frustration. Setbacks are not signs of weakness. They are signals, they are reminders, they are invitations to level up. When someone else gets the spotlight, you have two choices: complain about the unfairness, or work so hard, so smart, and so strategically that the world can't ignore you next time. That's the energy India needs to channel. Don't let the sting of being sidelined turn into self-doubt. Turn it into fire, turn it into fuel. Throughout history, every great nation has faced moments of rejection and isolation. The ones that rose didn't do so because someone finally decided to support them. They rose because they built themselves into something no one could afford to ignore. That's the standard. That's the target. Let setbacks remind you where you still need to grow. Let them show you the gaps in strategy, in diplomacy, in influence, and then close those gaps ruthlessly. If America is choosing Pakistan in some circumstances, use that information as fuel. Ask the hard questions. What role is Pakistan playing that India is not? What leverage are they using that India has not tapped into? What conversations are they showing up for? And what narratives are they controlling? Then ask, what needs to change in India's approach, not out of bitterness, but out of determination to grow stronger, sharper, and more effective. This isn't about becoming aggressive or reactionary. It's about getting strategic. It's about treating every diplomatic disappointment as a real-time lesson in global positioning. India doesn't need sympathy. It doesn't need to play the victim. It needs to double down on power, presence, and progress. That means investing more in international partnerships that align with long-term goals. That means crafting a stronger global media strategy to shape narratives. That means stepping into every room not as an underdog, but as a force of nature. Even in personal life, the people who grow the most are the ones who use rejection as fuel. The ones who look at a lost job, a failed relationship, a public mistake and say, "Good, now I see what needs work. Now I know how to be better." The same applies to nations. India's setbacks are not losses. They are clues, they are data points, they are direction, and let's be clear, India has already proven it can rise. From space exploration to digital innovation, from military modernization to economic resilience, the foundations are already strong. But that's not enough. The next phase requires fire, not desperation, not validation. Seeking fire, the kind that says we will lead, we will build, and we will not stop until our presence commands the kind of global influence we deserve. So when the headlines feel unfair, when the alliances feel unbalanced, when the choices of superpowers feel like betrayal, don't retreat, don't get emotional, get strategic. Let that sting remind you that you were never supposed to depend on anyone else for power anyway. Power is built, influence is earned, and every setback is simply another push forward, if you're willing to use it.